All right, Utah Wrestling Podcast fans, we're back at it. My name is Brian Preece. I'll be your host for tonight. And we have Cole Kelly and Jeff Newby with USA Wrestling Utah, and they're going to be talking about, we got three major topics tonight. We're going to talk about the Youth Big Board, go through the top 30 youth wrestlers. We're also going to talk about some possible junior high all-star matches. Never too early to talk about that. Then we're going to talk about some of the best high school wrestlers in the state, look over the rankings a little bit, and again talk about possible all-star matches in January with the high school scene. So, Jeff, Cole, how are you guys doing tonight?
Doing good.
Yeah, we're having fun. Love doing this with you guys every week.
Yeah, it's certainly great to have you. So, let's start here with Jeff. You know, you probably have the top 30 right in front of you, I hope.
I do, of course.
Talk a little bit about the top 30 youth wrestlers, run through this really quick, and then kind of get into the junior high all-star possibility. So let's start off with the youth big board, Jeff.
Yeah, so the youth big board, I think we started it last year, and essentially it's a pound-for-pound ranking, so it doesn't matter what weight class you are, what grade you are. It's pretty much 8th grade and below. And if you're good enough as a 2nd grader, you can get in. But the one thing about the younger kids, they have to have a good signature win. They have to have gone up. They have to have beaten someone older than them. That's good enough to be in the ranking. So younger kids have a disadvantage because they need to basically prove it a little bit more. And so, you know, we definitely give preference to folk style over freestyle or Greco. And again, if you don't have that signature win, it's hard to get into that top 30. So
let me ask you, why the folk style over freestyle? You know, maybe some people might be curious with that.
Just these are folk style rankings. You know, these are in season rankings. So we will use freestyle if basically as a tiebreaker if we need to, but folk style will trump your freestyle wins. So, okay.
Sounds good. Let's roll. Let's go.
Let's get into it.
30 on down. We'll count.
Yes. Start at 30. These are not on the website yet. We will put them on the website probably either Thursday or Friday. We'll get them up there, but we do want to encourage, watch the podcast. This is where you're going to get the rankings, and then we'll put them on the website after. So 30.
WrestleUtah.com, right?
WrestleUtah.com. Number 30, champions, Cooper Cox. Cooper, you know, he has a good win over Kane Smith. He also lost to Gabe Sanders, though. So Cooper gets in there. He's about 90 pounds at number 30.
Okay.
29. 29.
Maybe tell us maybe if you know what grade they're in, or, you know.
Cooper Cox is 8th grade.
Okay. So give us grade and weight for sure.
Yes. Also, you know, if I get some stuff wrong, feel free to correct me later. We'll get it fixed. Again, these rankings, just like all rankings, you know, they're not going to be perfect. They're very difficult because it is a pound-for-pound ranking, so that a lot of these kids don't have head-to-head, and it's based off just, you know, what we think or what we expect to see. And so, you know, if you're not in the rankings, go beat someone that's in it, and you'll get in it. 29, from top of Utah, Gabe Sanders. He's around, all these weights are kind of guessing, but 95 pounds, 7th grade. Number 28, from Millard, Mac Bray. I do believe his older brother is Van Bray. He's on our national team, super tough kid. He's around the 80 to 85 pound range, 7th grade. But he doesn't have a ton of stuff on track, but he has a win over Dawson Wood. He's beaten Riggenboger, but he's also lost to Josh Millward, Lucas Carrillo. So 27. Here's our youngest kid on the big board, a 5th grader, 95 pounds, Kayan Smith from Metal. Now, Kayan, you know, again, those younger kids have a very difficult time getting on the board, but Kayan has beaten some tough kids. He's beat Gabe Sanders. He's beat Sage Mortimer. But he's lost, you know, he's lost to Dawson Wood. He's actually lost to Cooper Cox, who we have at 30. You know, he's lost to Drew Millward. He's just or Drew Lang. He's lost to, some kids, but he has those signature wins as a younger kid.
Cole, can you tell? I mean, he sounds like he's in your program. Do you have any insights on him?
Yeah, Kayan, he's one of those kids that he's going to go seek out the best competition. So Kayan finished. He won the Reno Tournament of Champions in Reno, Nevada last year. Went to Tulsa, placed at Tulsa Nationals. Tour of America events. He's won a few of those, and so he's nationally really done has some outstanding accomplishments. So, I think Kayan is certainly worthy of that ranking.
Okay, then we're at 26, right, Jeff?
26. We got Lane Shepard. I think he was with Pride this last year, 8th grade, about 95 pounds. He came 3rd at Super State and 3rd at Northern State, and he has a win over Cooper Cox at the Nebo tournament. Kind of a little bit more of an unknown wrestler, but he's tough as nails.
Yeah, his dad was a stud. Former coach of Spanish Fork, 2-time state champion. So
right,
good bloodlines there.
25 from Juab / Champions. You got Channing Warner. I think he practices at Champions mostly. 7th grade, about 100 pounds. He won Super State, won Northern State. He actually lost to Jaden Stange at the Brawl, but at Freestyle State, he actually beat Jaden Stange. So that's one where his freestyle win kind of helped him a little bit get in the rankings, but he's definitely tough. 24, 8th grade with Team Prestige, about 130, Talmadge Carmen. He 5th at Super State. He has a big win over Andrew Jensen at the Wasatch Tournament last year. Tough kid. Number 23, 7th grader, about 115, from Syracuse, Jordan Davies. Jordan had an absolute incredible year last year. I do believe he won Triple Crown, Super State champ, Northern State champ, Slam champ. I mean, he won most everything last year. So, number 22, 8th grade, about 110, Jaden Stange. He is Team Prestige, I do believe. Number 21, Cole Kelly. I think you know who 21 is, right?
I know 21 pretty well, yeah.
He's a metal kid, about 105-ish, 8th grade, Zeke Kelly. Last year, Zeke had a pretty good year last year. He beat Jaden Stange a couple times, and that's why he's ranked over Jaden. Number 20.
Hold on. Let's get Cole in here. Tell us a little bit about this Kelly kid.
You know what?
Zeke, what you admire about your son here?
Well, the one thing I'll say about Zeke is that he's gotten there through hard work. Things don't come as naturally to Zeke as maybe some other athletes that I've coached, but a lot of perseverance, a lot of hard work, and he's started to really see some success. So it's starting to pay off for him.
It's good to see. I really like watching Zeke. Good kid. Got to be proud, right, Cole?
Right on. Thanks, Brian.
We're at 21, right?
We're at 20.
20, all right.
Into the top 20.
So
this 20th champions, 8th grade, about 90 pounds, just won a Pan Am Championships, Sage Mortimer. Sage, she's beat some of the top guys, and she's also lost to some. She's lost to Teslin Wynn. She's lost to Waylon Pitt. She's lost to Kane Smith. But she's also beat Will Kors. She's also beat Waylon Pitts. So she's kind of one of those, she can beat the best, but she also loses a couple that are to some lower ranks. So we kind of put her in the middle there of the people she's beat.
95 pounds, you say?
About 90 pounds.
And what grade is she in?
She's an 8th grader. So next year, high school boys better watch out.
Okay, she kind of you think she has like Candace Workman potential?
I think she's very tough. I mean, she just won a Pan Am Gold. I think her potential is very good. It'll be exciting. It'll definitely be exciting to see her. If she has those Olympic aspirations, to see how far she can go.
I would say that Sage's struggle will be size. and it'll be interesting as a freshman to see if Sage can get up to 106 pounds, but coming in as a freshman, she may be an undersized 106 pounder, which is tough to do.
Yeah. But, if she can get up to 106, she'll be definitely tough.
She'll be a competitor, no doubt.
Yeah. 19 from Fremont, 8th grade, about 105, Hunter Bowden. Number 18 from Champions. I think he's wrestled a little bit with Pride as well. Could be wrong on that one. So someone check me on that. But 7th grade, about 90 pounds, Dawson Wood. Dawson, another one. He's lost to Lucas Carrillo, and he's also beat Lucas Carrillo. He's beat Kayan Smith. He lost to River Wardle. So he's young in the 7th grade, but he's beat some tough kids. Number 17, another Champions kid. 8th grade, about 155, Justin Mitchell. Number 16, we got a 1A kid from Altamont, 8th grade, about a 120, 125, Tristan Farnsworth.
Good family there. Lots of Farnsworths have been state.
Yes,
it is from that family of Farnsworths, and Tristan's a tough kid.
Right, and they got of course we know Steve Sanderson's out there going to be working with that program. Youth on through high school, so that might help this young man progress even more. National and maybe even international scene. So,
yep, very tough. Number 15 from Box Elder, 8th grade, about 140, Lucas Cochran. Cochran came 3rd at Super State last year. He had a rough spring season, but again, folk style kind of trumps it all, so we gave him the 15 spot. 14 from Morgan, 8th grader, 85 pounds-ish, Waylon Pence. Waylon's another one. He has some great wins. He's lost some as well. He did lose to Sage Mortimer. He's beat Tristan Smith, but we gave him the 14 spot.
And good bloodlines. Pence
very good. Owen Pence, his brother, just placed at Fargo, the finalist at Fargo. I mean, he definitely has some good bloodline there. Jaden Pence, his older brother than Owen, was also a Fargo All-American. So Waylon has some high expectations. He's got to continue the Fargo All-American path. 13 from Champions, 7th grader, 90 pounds, Lucas Carrillo. 12, Team Prestige, 8th grader, Mark Roush. Mark is one, I think it'll be interesting to see how high he can climb. He's super tough. He's getting bigger. He's about 150, and he'll be an interesting one to see if he can get top 10 or even higher, which I think he has the ability to do so. Number 11 from North Sevier, 8th grader, about 85 pounds, Denham Torgerson. Number 10, moving into the top 10, we have a 7th grader, about 80 pounds, Will Korth. Will, super tough kid, just hard-nosed. He's not going to break on you mentally. He's going to be in the match. He's going to give you everything you can handle. So went 8-2 at the Virginia Holiday Duels last year. 1A through 3A state champ. Super State, he did come 2nd at Super State, but tough as nails.
And where's he from again?
He's Morgan.
Got Morgan, a couple there in the top.
They do.
Yep. Awesome.
Number 9. This is another young kid, actually, a 6th grader. He's about 70 pounds, from Team Prestige, Kyson Garcia. Kyson, very technical, has great technique, super good wrestler.
Just the Garcias from Hillcrest?
Yes, that's Pat's
son. Yeah.
Yep.
It's amazing how these bloodlines go.
I know, right? Okay, moving on, number 8. We got a big man at number 8, 8th grader from Pleasant Grove, Spencer Tautioli. Spencer's another one. It'll be fun to watch him wrestle. Not sure how much competition he'll have at the junior high level. He's going to be a beast. He's tough. So you give him number 8. Number 7 from Box Elder, 8th grader, about 150, Brandon Guyton. Number 6, 7th grader, about 125, Andrew Jensen. Now, Andrew, he had some losses last year, but ultimately, folk style national champion, Greco national champion, freestyle national runner-up. We moved him to the number 6 spot. He'll definitely be tested this year, so we'll see exactly where he stands. But for now, we give him the number 6.
Do you see the brother of the Jensens and Harriman?
He is not.
No.
So where's he from again?
He's champions.
Oh, he's from Champions. Okay, sorry for tying him in with that. My bad, but sounds like he does very, very well when the show is big.
Yes, he has done well, definitely. Moving into the top 5. Number 5, Team Legacy, 7th grader, 90 pounds, Josh Millward. Another kid, very similar to Will Korth, just tough. Not going to give up, going to give 100% from every position. Number 4, 8th grader, 75 pounds, from North Summit, Tristan Smith. Tristan, very tough. Smaller school, 2A. If he can get up to weight, he'll definitely be contending for 4 state titles. Number 3, 8th grader, 100 pounds, Scott Robertson from Bear River. And number 2, 8th grader, 95 pounds.
Brian likes the bloodlines, so that's
another one.
Yeah, that's the Robertson family that I know you know Colin that was at PG, Brian.
Oregon, and I can't remember another one.
So, but Colin's an uncle there.
Okay.
Number 2, 8th grader, about 95 pounds, from Team Prestige, River Wardle. River, this past year, placed 7th at the Folk Style Nationals, and really in the last years when he's come on pretty strong. So if he keeps progressing at the rate he's going, he's going to be one tough kid. And our number 1 ranked wrestler this year, going into the season, he'll have an X on his back because he is a number 1 wrestler, a 7th grader, 90 pounds, from Team Legacy, Drew Lang. So Drew, again, he's been on the national scene for many, many years, has done very, very good. Last year, he was our highest ranked non-8th grader. And again, one thing to note, our number 1, our number 2, and our number 5. So 3 of our top 5 came out of the same program, Team Legacy. Definitely D. Moody has done some good things there, with having 3 of the top 5 that have come from his program. So
I want to give a shout out. I know he works out with Nathaniel a lot.
Yes, he does now. Drew does work out with Nathaniel.
Jack and I think the Lang brothers, from what I hear, Jack will be wrestling at West High.
That's what I hear.
That's going to be exciting news for West, and I think Drew should follow footsteps there. So, I like to see that in the inner city there, little signs of life, and some good kids coming through. I always have a soft spot for the West High.
And I want to, top 30. There's so many young kids out there. There's a few kids I'll mention that just missed the cutoff for various reasons. But we'll give them a shout out. Jacob Finlinson, Westlake. Landon Morales from Moab. Bridger Ricks, Box Elder. Dallin Hunsaker, Medal. Jacob Carson, Medal. Easton Evans, Mountain Crest. Lane Kleiman is another one, young kid, 5th grader. He's right there and knocking on the door as a 5th grader. Slade Nicholson, Dason Torgerson, Lee Woolsey, Teslin Wynn, Riggin Boger, Mackay Smith. All these guys, are so close to getting in, and they'll all have their chance.
Keep an eye on that Finlinson kid. I know he probably wrestles with Metal, and his dad Jason.
He did, and he's been wrestling with Westlake the last couple of years.
Westlake, yeah, and Jason wrestled when I was coaching at West High.
Yeah, that's right.
And actually, his mother wrestled. She didn't wrestle for the team at West High, but she did a lot of freestyle and Greco, and she is one tough lady. So pretty, again, talking about those bloodlines. She was one of the very first female wrestlers in the state. back in the mid 90s, 1990s. So I'm kind of waiting for that kid. It'll be interesting to see if he could crack the top 30 along with the other guys. So just go out and, like Jeff said, go out and beat some people, and you'll improve yourselves, and you'll get in there. Rankings don't really mean they're nice. We're doing them, create some excitement for the sport, but just because you're outside the rankings doesn't mean you're not tough and not worthy. Just go show us.
That's right. So now that we've kind of gone over the top 30.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit of this. I noticed that there was a bunch around in 90, 95, 100 pounds. This has got to be some dogfights and tournaments, but some potential all-star. A couple of years back, we started the all-star matches for junior high age wrestlers, and I imagine some of these names in the top 30 or even outside the top 30 maybe will be meeting in the all-star. So Jeff and Cole, break in here. Talk a little bit about what you see as some potential all-star matchups.
I guess I'll start by saying this. The all-star matchups aren't chosen. They're chosen by a committee. So whatever myself, and Cole say, obviously, is all, it's just right. Speculation is things that we may want to see. Obviously, tournaments and results are going to change these rankings. And just because we stay a certain all-star match doesn't mean it's going to happen by any means. First the kids have got to go win, in the tournaments, because they lose and someone else is going to get the nod. And then also, like I said, the committee has to want to see it too. So,
tell us a little bit about the committee. I imagine you two are on the committee, right?
Yeah, we try and get a mix of every kind of classification represented. We want to pull in plenty of the 1, 2, 3A kids, and we want to have them. The idea is to get 1, 2, and 3A versus 4A and 5A. That doesn't always work out that way, and if we have a great matchup of 4A, 5A, or 1, 2, and 3A, or 1A versus 1A, we'll do it. But the overall, is we want to try and mirror after the high school and do the 1, 2, and 3A versus 4A, 5A where we can. But we're not going to leave a kid out just to make sure that happens. So again, all speculation. Pretty much what I've done is gone through these rankings and looked at some possible matchups. The
matches where you plan on doing at the All-Star Duel?
I think we've done 10 in the past, right, Cole, for junior highs?
Yeah.
So we've done 10.
Okay. So, again, too, if 90, 95 has 8 to 10 really good kids, you're not going to say, well, we're going to spread this across the, every single weight's going to be represented. You're just looking at, maybe these are the best matchups.
Yeah. Generally, we've just tried to get the best matchups that we think would be entertaining to watch. So,
okay. Yep. All right. Well, let's talk.
Well, I think
more well the youth than I am. So
the most glaring is we have an opportunity this year, if the rankings stay as they are, to have a number 1 versus number 2 battle. Drew Lang versus River Wardle. They're within 5 pounds of each other, and that would be a fun match. Put it on the line. Who's number 1? Who's the best? And I'm sure they both would be game to do that. So that's one where it would be a 4A 5A versus 4A 5A. But I think when we have an opportunity to put 1 and 2 against each other, I don't know that we can pass that opportunity up.
I'll tell you one that I'm kind of excited that would be fun to watch. Sage Mortimer and Waylon Pence. Sage won the Greco state tournament. Waylon won the freestyle state tournament. So it'd be fun to see those guys go to head-to-head. I'm sure they'll see each other throughout the season as well. But they're both very exciting wrestlers to watch, and that'd be a fun matchup.
That would be. Another one that I would like to see is Tristan Smith versus Will Korth. That number 4 versus number 10 there. Just the styles. Tristan gets after it. He goes forward. Will Korth is a very hard-nosed wrestler, and that would be, for me, a very fun match. A number 4 versus number 10. Again, that would be small school versus small school, but again, best matchups, are important. Another one I'd like to see is Josh Millward at number 5 versus Denham Torgerson at number 11. They're pretty close to weight. They're within 5 pounds, I do believe, right now. And again, just styles again would be super fun matchup to see. Andrew Jensen at number 6 against Tristan Farnsworth at number 22. Or Tristan, no, not 22. He is, what is Tristan? He's number 16. So Andrew Jensen versus Farnsworth at 16. I think that would be another fun one. Tristan's a year older, a couple pounds lighter though. But again, that could be a fun one. Brandon Guyton versus Mark Roush. For me, again, that would be a fun one. They may meet earlier in the season though, but that would be, whether they meet earlier at the All-Stars, for me, I think that would be a fun match. We'll put it out there too. Spencer Tautioli, our number 8. We need a match for him. No way we can leave him out of the All-Stars if he competes, like we think he will. We got to find someone for him. We don't have a top 30.
We'll bring a sophomore down to wrestling.
Yeah, something like that. So you got anybody that you're eyeballing? Maybe a bigger kid that's maybe just outside the rankings as a possibility.
We don't right now. It's hopefully we'll find someone for him, but we'll definitely need help there. But the thing with Spencer is I don't see someone pushing him too much at the junior high level, but he's good enough. He definitely deserves to be in the All-Stars as an 8th grader.
Yeah. Well, you'll even if you got to go outside the rankings a little bit, hopefully some young man and his parents would want to step up, wrestle Spencer, and say, be part of this All-Star experience, because it's a neat thing. I had a wrestler, he placed second state for me at Provo, and he got to wrestle Jake Varner at the Reno Tournament Champions. Yeah. Jake throwing him on his head pretty good, but it's always a cool story. I got to wrestle Jake Varner, so hopefully somebody will rise up and think that's a cool opportunity and a neat event to be a part of, even though maybe on paper it won't be a competitive match.
Right. Those are some of the ones that jumped out on the paper for me. Cole, did you have any more before we jump over to the high school side?
No, let's get to the high school guys. I'm, excited to talk about those rankings. I know they have been posted on the website, right, Jeff?
They are posted on the website. All ways are on the website.
UtahWrestle.com.
WrestleUtah.com.
WrestleUtah, sorry. Yeah, I probably did somebody else's website. WrestleUtah.com. Great. It's the official site of USA Wrestling Utah. Okay?
Right. Okay.
So let's go for it here.
So the individual power polls, just a little background. This is your top 6 wrestlers, regardless of classification. Actually, Brian, you started these rankings a while back.
Yep.
Yeah, it was just kind of fun. I've always had that dream of the Super State tournament, and I think I started them around 2000, 2001. With the advent of the All-Star Duel, and I think maybe they helped, the early on with the process of finding the 2 best wrestlers for our earliest All-Star Duels. But yeah, it was just kind of fun to do that, and got a lot of support for it, and got some support that with some criticisms and things like that, like you probably do. What you
yep.
do, but I think it really makes it fun. You got your classification rankings, and then I did my power poll, but what you're doing, Jeff, and you've tweaked things a little bit, and that's pretty cool too. What you've done there, and so, but I always give a lot of credit to Don Neff. He was the kind of the forerunner of rankings in the state, nothing like the super rankings or what you call the power rankings, but I always want to give Don credit for getting the ball rolling with his efforts way back when. So,
yep. So I guess we can just start. We'll just go through the weights quickly and then hit on the All-Stars. And 106. Thing that jumps out here is 5A. 5A is going to be very, very tough. We actually, the kid from Weber, Carlos Moran, we probably actually left off these that should have been on. He placed, I think, 4th at state last year. So, shout out to Carlos Moran. Probably should be on these rankings. But 5A, you have Dalton Stutzman, Carlos Moran, Oakley Ridge, Mason Denton, Braden Mogul, Braden Clark. I mean, that's 6 right there that are very, very tough in the 5A. 3A, you're going to have Zach.
Let me interrupt one quick. You do something a little bit different than I ever did. I would not even rank an incoming freshman until I got some results. So you're bringing in some freshmen. You're seeing like
yes.
you're I guess anticipating how well they'll do and so forth. I kind of hedged a little bit. I wanted to actually see these guys prove themselves a little bit, but I understand where you're going with that because we got some freshmen that are studs. We kind of talked about that a couple of weeks ago, right? With
your top 25 incoming freshmen. Yeah.
Yeah. So you're seeing some freshmen. They're unproven, but they are kind of proven with what they've done on the national scene.
Right. And nowadays, with the tournaments, the preseason tournaments, the spring tournaments, a lot of these freshmen have opportunities to prove themselves against the high school kids. For example, you have Mason Denton. He's beat Braden Mogul, and that's why Braden Mogul is number 5 behind Mason Denton. So a lot of these freshmen have had opportunities to go up and wrestle these high school kids and prove themselves. But you're right, a lot of rankings don't rank the freshmen. My thought is, if a freshman's the number 1 kid, well, then let's rank him number 1.
Yeah.
But yeah, 106, 3A is tough at 106 as well. 3A, you're going to have Zach Bingham, Riker Boyce, and then another freshman, Jarrett Jorgensen, who's not in the rankings, but very well could be in the rankings. So anyway, that's 106. 113, you have another freshman in there, Tyson Humphreys, to have him at number 5. I could very easily see Tyson bumping up a couple spots in those rankings.
Winning 5A.
He's going to have, in the 5A, he's going to have Cole Zorn, which isn't not going to be an easy task, but it'll be a fun match, definitely. You have also another one in there, Cub Dietz. He was hurt most of the season, but, and he didn't compete at the state tournament because he was hurt, but I think he's going to, turn some heads this year too. 120. 120 could be one of the deeper weights. You look at 120, every kid that's ranked in the top 6 are state champions. Brandon Michael won it 2 years ago, not last year, but very deep at 120. 26, you have, Jackson Cole, senior, Tanner Benedict, and again, another freshman, Stockton O'Brien at number 3. These freshmen are coming in more and more prepared every year. And, Stockton being at number 3 is kind of a testament of that. He's gone up. He's wrestled high school kids. He's beat them. He beat Gabe Terry last year, beat Trevor Clough last year. So definitely, these freshmen are coming in ready to go.
Can you go back to 120 and just kind of tell me, you mentioned one kid. Who's a couple others there at 120?
You got Terrell Bearclough at number 1. Him and Brandon going to be fun to watch. You got Brady Polson from Delta, number 3. Trevor Clough, number 4. Gentry Warner at number 5, and Tate Bennett, number 6.
Okay.
Tate Bennett and Terrell Bearclough, both returning state champions, are going to meet. You have Brandon Michael, Trevor Clough, both state champions, going to meet in the 4A. And so you're going to have some good state finals matches if all these kids stay at these weights. Okay, jumping ahead, we went over 26. We'll jump to 32. 32, another fun weight. Muscleman may be coming down to 32, not sure yet. But if he does come down to 32, you add him in the mix, and it's, again, pretty tough weight with Ranger Keckler, Zach Kohler, Derek Fisher, who's looked great at Fall League. Going to have some real tough matchups there.
So I think Zach, he's won, 2 or 3 titles, and Keckler won the a 3A title last year.
Yeah.
Zach's a sophomore, so he won it last year as a freshman. I think you remember that was a varsity JV, 2 Wasatch kids in the final situation.
Yeah, I think what impressed me about Musselman is I think he beat the Paiute kid. This his name is escaping me. That was a 2 or 3 time state champion. I think he's on the UVU roster and wrestled in the All-Star duel. Help me out here, guys.
Austin Trapp.
Austin Trapp, yeah. And I was very impressed with him. I think he won it. Didn't he win his All-Star match? And and then Musselman knocked him off. You know, and I know Zach. He did very well out at Fargo, right? He was right in there to place, right? Jeff.
To be the number one guy at 32. So Zach's very tough.
Yeah, I was just saying he did some good things out at Fargo, right?
He did. He did well at Fargo.
Okay. So it sounds like it could be a fun weight.
Yes. Speaking of 38, and Zach Musselman, number one. Again, we talked a little bit about him. He may be dropping down to 32. Not sure yet. We ranked him at 38. And thoughts that he may start at 38. 38 isn't as deep of a weight class as some of the other ones, but still tough. Brady Lauer, we have at number 2. Last year he got upset in the state tournament, but this offseason, he looked really good this offseason. So
I think he's got the potential. I'm not sure Canyon View High School's had a state champion yet.
Have they not?
I don't think they've had it. I know they had several second-place guys. So, and he's Dallas's boy, right?
He is.
And that'd be really cool. If I'm correct there, yeah, he actually got on top of the podium. And, Dallas has done a lot of great work at Canyon View. It'd be cool if he was the first state champion for that school.
Yeah,
I'll check that, but I think he would be the first if he does what we think he'll do.
Yes, definitely. And then you got Abe at 4, Logan Crandall 5, Nav at 6. Chance Bundy, Austin Hone are a couple kids that got left off the ranking. Austin Hone, he got hurt, but as long as he's healthy, he's going to be tough, and I would be surprised if he doesn't get in the rankings if he's healthy. Chance Bundy, another tough kid that could possibly get in there.
So where do you have the Harden and around there?
Ben Harden, yeah, I think he'll be around 38. I think. Okay. Carson Halls is another one with Ben Harden, same team. Carson, 32. He'll be right there too. So.
Where do you got Schaefer Heiner? Is he next weight up or?
I don't have Schaefer in the rankings.
Okay. Well, he's beat Halls a couple times, and
right.
Like last year, he kind of had a skin thing that kind of kept him out from going to state. Just putting a little plug in for the Provo kid there.
Yeah, no, Schaefer's definitely tough.
Schaefer has a chance definitely to break into the rankings here. So.
Okay.
Yep.
I was wondering, maybe you knew what weight he was going to be more than I was. Okay.
You know what? I see him almost every day, and I don't even know what he weighs. But he looks like he's probably about a 45, 38 pounder.
Okay. I was saying, so we're at 45s, Jeff.
45. This is another good weight. It's
always the coolest. It's always the best weight. It's like where all the studs hang out, right, Jeff?
You got right, exactly. You got Jed Lovelace, number 1.
You got it.
Jed Lovelace, number 1. You got Logan Jensen, number 2. Corbin Smith, number 3. So those top 3, very good. Number 4, Steven Quintana. Didn't compete at the state tournament last year, but he actually has a win over Jed Lovelace. So Quintana's dangerous. He's tough. Number 5, a 1A kid from Duchesne, Stockton Moat. Number 6, a 3A state champ from Bear River, Kagan Canfield.
Yeah,
so again, what?
Great lineage there, a lot of great moats have come through the Duchesne program. And definitely 1A kid to watch.
Yep, he's tough. 52, I don't think there's any surprise at who's number 1 here. Box Elder, Brock Hardy is number 1. Number two, Isaac Wilcox, 3 Tate and Ringo, 4 Skinner, 5 Foy, and 6 Stevens. Isaac Wilcox, good chance he'll be down at 45. Again, not sure if he'll start at 45, but I'm pretty sure he'll be down there. He came to Fall League last week. He's only weighing about 51. So not too much weight to cut to get to 45, but I would expect him to be down at 45. And if he's at 45, the 4A state tournament could have Isaac Wilcox, Jed Lovelace, Corbin Smith. Top 3 guys right there are all studs. So that would be a very fun state tournament. Okay, moving on to 160. 160, 4A is super deep. So note to all coaches out there, note to all 160-pounders in the 4A, you might want to think about moving. You got Jacob Disher, 4A, Brandon Van Tassel, 4A, Tucker Tomlinson, 4A, Kyle Larson, 4A, Tristan Hellstrom, 4A. I mean, you got Tyler Manukin, 4A from Payson, who's not even in the rankings. So it's just 4A at 160 is going to be tough.
Well, here's the deal. It's like that quandary kids are going to find themselves in.
Right.
Yeah, you're going. There's, Brock Hardy would have to break both legs not to win state, take state. So, you're going to see the weights probably below him and above him be really thick with the guys, and
right.
Because they all want that dream of being a state champion. If you go down to the Brock's weight, you're kind of saying, well, I'm competing for second place, and
right.
And I know I faced that quandary. There was could go up a weight, when I was in high school and take second place, or put my hat in the ring in a very deep weight and see how it rolled, And so I think these kids, being their goal is to be a state champion, you're going to see these weights below and above where Hardy is be really stacked.
And they are. I mean, you look at 45, you look at 60. I mean, both weights are pretty deep, pretty tough in the 4A. So 170. You got Moody on top, another pretty tough weight. Jackson Van Tassel, Wyatt Monroe, Ashton Daly, Wyatt Jessen, and Joey Agard. Cole Moody right now is a top guy. But Wyatt Monroe, he's been coming to Fall League, and he's tough. Cole Moody and Jackson need to be ready for Monroe, because even though we have them 3 behind those two, wouldn't be surprised to see Monroe make a couple jumps there.
Like Van Tassel, here's a kid. He's placed second 3 times. So
right,
he's hungry to get to the top. And you're probably not going to see Jackson much in the Fall League. He's one of the star players, football players, Salem Hills. So.
Yep. 82 will be a fun weight. You have Owen Pence and Richie Haywood. Number 3 kid, a little bit more of a lesser known kid, Peyton Osborne from Payson, got hurt last year. Year before that, 3A state runner up. He'll be tough. He'll push Richie Haywood. I think
he's an athlete.
Yeah, it's not going to be a pushover for sure. Tanner Shields, Jacob Rowe, and Mac Peterson round out the top 6 there. 195.
I think it's a good time to note a bet that Jeff and I have, and I'm pretty confident right now, Jeff. I'm pretty confident with my bet.
We'll have to talk about that another time. We'll talk about it another time.
Come on.
I bet that Roten would take state this year. So
who would? Roten? Roten?
It was actually we were looking at the 2 brothers. So I'm sorry, Jeff. I'm not trying to throw you under the bus, but.
And Roten should. I mean, he's a top guy in 5A right now. There's been talk about him maybe going 195 or 182, and definitely my recommendation would be at 182. 5A 195 is gonna be a little bit tougher. 195, you got number 1 Ashton Seeley, 2 Chase Lovelace. That's gonna be a great battle between Seeley and Lovelace. 3 DJ Cohen, 4 Jordan Watson, 5 Micah Tautioli, and 6 Alex Shope from Uinta.
I tell you what, there are some great athletes. That Tautioli kid, remarkable athlete.
Yes,
athlete, but Shope athlete. Man, there's some just DJ Cohen. Don't fall asleep on that kid. Great coaching, great lineage. Yeah. He's part of the Porter family, grandson of Jim Porter of Delta. That's going to be a really interesting weight class right there.
We will, and the thing is, in the 4A, you got Chase Lovelace, DJ Cohen, and Alex Shope. The question will be, of those 3, will any of them bump up to 220? 4A in the 220 is a little bit easier, not as deep, and any of those kids, if they're big enough, probably would be my number 1 pick in the 4A at 220 right now, at least.
Who's the 220 guy at 4A? Well, go ahead and talk about 220.
Yeah, we'll get so 220. Number 1, we have Brandon Clausen. 2 Rand Pence from North Summit, 3 Chase Trussell, 4 Tavai Pay from Wayne, a 1A kid. Number 5, Janston Manis from Delta, 2A kid. Number 6, Aaron Verduzco, 1A kid. So, again, we don't have a 4A kid in the 220 rankings. So that's what I'm saying. You have 3 4A kids at 195. It'll be interesting to see, first of all, if any of those kids are big enough to be 220 or if any of them just bump up to 220. And I don't know who's going to be in the 4A right now at 220.
That's just one I thought maybe Highland, of all places, might have a pretty
Yeah,
tough
they may have a kid there. So I know
I think he's coming back, and he took 3rd or 4th in state.
There's a couple Highland kids as I was going through that, are tough. I can't remember if they're seniors or not, the ones I was looking at. So heavyweight, you got Riley Taylor, number 1, Brett Walker from Delta, number 2, Sean Stockwell, number 3, which is kind of a wild card, but he didn't compete at the state tournament last year, so we'll see if he's competing this year. 4, Parker Knudsen from Monticello, 1A kid. 5, Hinole Avendano from Jordan. And number 6, Josh Madsen from Bear River. Heavyweight, that was a tough weight. I'm not going to lie. Of this group, most of these kids are they haven't been very consistent or dominant. It's like a Brock Hardy or Cole Moody or someone like that's been. So I'm not going to lie, heavyweight was difficult to rank.
I think of all those guys listed, Stockwell, to me, probably the most athletic.
Yeah, Stockwell's very athletic.
Last week, and Corner Canyon stunned you, and he was in the middle of all that.
Yeah,
tough. Good athlete. I think he's had some, I guess, I don't know what you want to call it, things going on. Okay, and but once he gets on the mat, he's pretty tough.
Yeah, he is tough.
Yeah.
So All-Stars, a couple of things on the All-Stars. Freshmen, it's hard to get freshmen in the All-Stars. Obviously they can, and some of them I would expect to be in the All-Stars, but it's not easy. But a couple All-Star matchups for me, at the lighter weights, Terrell Bearclough versus Brandon Michael. For me, I would love to see that one. Both state champs, Brandon from 2 years ago, but that's one I definitely want to see. Cole Zor and Dylan Torgerson, another good one that'll happen hopefully. Jackson Cole, we gotta get him. Got to get him. One thing is Jackson Cole and Tanner Benedict will wrestle each other at Layton. I'm pretty sure. But I think they'll both be there. So I don't know how many times we'll see those two wrestle.
Tanner upset Jackson last year. Was that?
Yes, at the Super State tournament, Tanner did beat Jackson.
Yeah.
So,
maybe if they don't meet at Layton, well, they probably will. But that'd be a good one.
Yeah,
I'd like to see that.
Another thing I would like to see. Every once in a while we kind of move kids around weights and try to make a pretty like a super matchup or something. Assuming Jackson and Tanner meet earlier, I wouldn't mind seeing Jackson Cole go up and wrestle like a Ranger Keckler or someone like that. Or if Musselman was down at 32, Jackson Cole versus Zach Musselman match. That would be pretty neat match. But again, bumping up weights isn't easy either. And Jackson and Tanner would be a good match too. So
now obviously you're kind of thinking with Brock Hardy, he's probably got to be in a feature match. He's probably our, I'd say, top overall wrestler. I guess some people could argue with that, but
the thing that's hard, Brian, and I think this is one thing that as the committee's done a pretty good job of doing is it may not always be the superstar wrestler in that featured match or in those featured matches, but sometimes it's just a better matchup, a good matchup of styles and a match that we know is going to be a fun match to watch.
Yeah. So when you're looking at maybe moving Brock up or down a weight, who do you think you might match up with him?
To be honest, I have no idea. Who do you put Brock against? You put him against Tate Ringel, and he's beaten Tate Ringel plenty of times. You move him up to 160, you can have a Brock versus Jacob Disher matchup, which might be kind of fun. But to be honest, I don't know that one. I don't know. Any suggestions?
I wish Cole Moody and Brock Hardy were closer together because
that's the one I'd love to see. But I guess they're a couple weights apart, right?
Yeah, they are.
I don't know. Maybe Brock comes in bigger than we think he is because of football, but you probably have a grasp.
So who are some of the guys at 160?
160 you got, and this is going to be the hard part. They're all 4A kids. You can only take so many 4A kids in the All-Stars.
Disher and
Van Tassel, Tomlinson, Kyle Larson, and Tristan Hellstrom. And who knows if Tristan will be there. He only weighs about 164, 163. Maple Mountain's going to have to spread some kids out, and I don't know how they're going to do it.
Those are all great wrestlers. It's just,
they are.
Like you said, you get guys like Taylor Lamont and whoever, and Brock Hardy's up there, and it's just hard to find a guy that with the firepower, the skill. It's just, you're talking about, this is a great talent, and it's just really hard sometimes to find an adequate matchup.
Yeah.
But every once in a while, you get some, that's what's cool about the All-Star Duel is you get people rising up to the occasion. Even like, Cole, you coached Cameron Hunsaker, right? And I thought, he ended up getting, tossed, Taylor caught him, but boy, he had some beautiful shots, and there was some really cool wrestling, in that match. It didn't last the whole 6 minutes, but there was, some good shots by Cameron and some great counters by Taylor. And, maybe that'll happen. Maybe, you get somebody to go out and get after Brock and, give them some, good action.
Yeah. And last year we did those it was last year, right, with Cameron. No, it was 2 years ago with Cameron and Taylor, wasn't it?
No, it was this last year.
Was it this last year?
Yeah.
Those are fun matchups because they weren't, you don't typically see those two wrestle, and everyone wanted to see it. And I think most people would have put their money on Taylor, but it still was fun because it's a matchup you haven't typically seen. And the thing with All-Stars is we try and get matchups that haven't happened before. Yeah. And I'm just going to use Jackson Cole and Tanner Benedict as an example. But if they wrestle at Layton, if they wrestle somewhere else, they've wrestled 2 or 3 times before the All-Stars. We're going to look elsewhere and see what other kind of matchups we can drum up, whether it's Jackson versus Musselman or Tanner.
The kid from Wasatch, Kohler.
Yeah, you got Kohler, you got Keckler, Derek Fisher. I mean, you're going to have some good matchups at 32, good kids at 32.
I think with Ranger, he's a real aggressive kid, and I think, he'd get in there and battle Jackson for sure. And I think that's, what I enjoyed about Cameron when he wrestled Taylor. He didn't really show any fear. He just, he went after him, got some quality shots on Taylor, and made Taylor show some good skill,
Yep.
That's kind of what you're looking at. I look at Keckler. I really like that kid. He's physical. He's tough. He gets after it. He goes forward.
In an All-Star duel with a guy with a situation like that, you're in a win-win situation, really. I don't know. Like Jeff mentioned, I don't think that anybody expected Cameron to beat Taylor. But Cameron went out with the approach, God, I got nothing to lose here. Might as well just get after it. Let's see what happens. And credit to Taylor for, getting the job done. But yeah, Cameron wasn't worried about the challenge and seemed to want to rise to the occasion.
And there's another one. Jed Lovelace, 45 last year, was in Taylor's weight. So you know that he's not afraid to go against the best kids, and maybe the option here is to move Jed Lovelace up and have him and Brock Hardy wrestle.
That's kind of what I'm thinking too, because like you said, Jed, he showed a lot of courage, and I think gave Taylor, some of his best matches in Utah for sure,
Right, and Brock and Jed is someone they've never wrestled before. It might be a fun match. Jed's tough on top, and Brock's tough on top. It could be a fun one to watch. Another one, moving up the weights, 182, Owen Pence versus Richie Haywood. That's going to be a fun one. And then you got Ashton Seeley and Chase Lovelace. I think Chase is going to give Ashton all he can handle. Chase is tough. He's tough to score on. He's a tough kid. That'll be a fun one to watch.
Yeah, I mean, when you talk about the All-Star duel too, there's going to be a few kids that come out of the woodwork and kind of surprise you. I bet credit to Seeley. He beat Kirkland in the rematch at Super State, but right. I don't think a lot of people would have expected Kirkland to beat Seeley last year. And, that's what's really cool. You have Austin Trapp come up, and I think he beat a really tough I think he wrestled Avi last year, right? And who's this 1A kid? And he, I think he was he went after him. And, that's what's really cool about the All-Star duel. You guys do a great job matching these guys up, and there's a lot of contrasting styles. And, sometimes you get these gritty, tough 1A, 2A guys against the kind of these flashier 4A and 5A guys, and it just makes for some real intriguing matchups, I think.
Right. And maybe another thought, with 160 having so many tough 4A kids, maybe we take one of those guys out and have a featured match with Cole Moody at 170, and maybe a Disher versus Moody or a Van Tassel versus Moody, and that way we can get another 4A guy in there since they're so deep at that weight. And a Disher versus Moody match would be a fun one to watch.
Yeah, don't sleep on that Tomlinson kid. He's
right
too, and I think didn't he take state last year?
He did, I think. Yeah, he did.
I'll tell you that, and I really like that Kyle Larson kid from Salem Hills.
Yeah,
he was in the All-Star duel last year, and he showed very well. I think he lost the season because of a knee injury, but I think he was beating Tomlinson and then got caught in the semifinals at the 4A meet. So, yeah, that is one incredible way to for 4A this year. Those guys stay there.
Yeah, it is. Those for me, 220, Brandon Clausen, Rand Pent, or Chase Trussell. I don't know if those kids will meet before, but those three, two of those three meeting up. Heavyweight, you got Riley Taylor versus Brett Walker. Brett's a 2-time state champion. You got Sean Stockwell in there as well. You got some great matchups for the All-Stars. So, I mean, it'll be fun. Definitely January 3rd is the All-Stars, right? Yes, January 3rd.
That's pretty early. Anybody getting any flack about that? Or?
No,
we've always tried to do it that first Tuesday coming back on the new year. So, I think kids expect it. The other thing I think it helps do is I think it helps avoid conflicts with the dual meets in the regular season.
Yeah, I mean, it's me. I always look at the positive spin too. It's a good way to kick off the second part of the year. Part of the year.
Sure. Yep, and it's a nice event to have that time of the year too, because it gives us good fodder for seeding for the Rumble.
It does.
And I think too, I always say this with kids: if you don't get in the All-Star duel, doesn't mean you can't take state. We see that all the time. And there's just tough decisions. It's agonizing. I've been on the committee. The committee takes its work very seriously.
Well, and we get accused, Brian, of politics, and the truth of the matter is, it's hard to avoid it. We try to be as fair to the kids as possible. There's sometimes, Jeff and I, for example, have argued about the difference of philosophy as to whether the result of a state tournament last year trumps a preseason tournament this year, or whether the preseason tournament trumps the state tournament last year.
And Cole, from preseason, you're talking like Beaumont Late and those type of tournaments, right?
Yeah, not preseason, but early season, I guess I could say.
Yeah.
But and there's just a different way to look at it. You can say, well, and my argument has always been, you want to peak at the state tournament. The state tournament is where you want to wrestle your best, and so I think the state tournament has a higher priority. Jeff has always argued that if you're getting beat in that early season tournament, late in Beaumont, etc., that that was your chance to prove you're worthy to be in the all-star duel. So, and both make sense.
Well,
Really.
I'm kind of in the middle, because I think, like, if it's a championship match at Layton, under the spotlight, to me that carries more weight. When, this guy beat this guy for third and fourth, and, we kind of had that a few years back, with Paul Johnson, and he ended up taking state, which I thought he would, and but he got beat by somebody at the third and fourth place match, or fifth and sixth place match, or whatever it was, Layton, But I'm kind of like in the middle of you. I can see where Cole's coming from. State tournament. That's what it's all about. That's what everybody's shooting for. That carries great importance. And to me, it should carry more importance than say, maybe. Because we do have all-star wrestlers that meet in the consolation rounds of these tournaments.
Well, and
the championship match,
I come at it from a high school coaching perspective. I know I've talked with Wade Disher about this too, but I don't worry about how my kids perform at the Layton Invitational or the Viewmont Invitational or the Millard Ironman duels and stuff like that. And I wouldn't say that I don't care, but at the same time, our goal is to peak at the state tournament, right? And so we're trying to progress and move towards that. But I do recognize, and generally, if it's the same two kids, that's where it becomes hard. So if you have wrestler A against wrestler B, and wrestler A won in the state finals last year, but wrestler B beat him at an early season tournament this year, that's tough. That's what do we do with that?
I mean, that's also agonizing decisions, and I think now there might be like, if a senior hasn't met a freshman, maybe you give the senior more weight.
And we definitely do that. We definitely tend to side with the senior over the underclassmen if we're looking at criteria and there's not a clear criteria as to who earns that spot. So yeah, that is something we look at. One of the things that we really encourage is we encourage high school coaches to be involved in the process. If we don't have information from high school coaches, it's hard to do that job. And Jeff does a tremendous job of trying to get as much data and as much information on matchups as possible. But when we're looking at 5 classifications, 14 different weights, it's tough. It's tough.
Well, I know, like before track, it's like sometimes, even as much as I followed the sport, we were just still in the dark with that information, especially like on the 1A and 2A level, just knowing the guys. I think track's made it better, and Jeff, he could really, hone in on all this. But I think, again, coaches need to be involved. You need to get yourself signed up for track wrestling. So we, because if you're not part of the solution, you're part of the problem. And, I hate, and I'm sure Cole and Jeff hate this, coaches griping about this and that, but they're out in the dark. They don't sign up for track. They don't get the results to the paper.
Well, and Brian, I'll give you, there's sometimes an old school mentality that, hey, that doesn't mean anything. And while I don't, while I recognize that, hey, there may be certain events that are more prestigious or more important to you, it's an honor for these kids to be involved. And one of the things that we have not done well in the past that I feel like we're doing a better job of is promoting our sport. We've got to promote our sport. And if you're not promoting your kids, you're not doing a good job of promoting our sport, whether it be locally or whether it be throughout the state. We have got to promote this sport, and we've got to get kids and fans and parents and aunts and uncles excited about it.
Yeah. And we always kind of had this discussion too about keeping the team score and things like that. And a lot of purists don't want to, but I've kind of maintained that's sort of what the public.
You can be sure that Brian Priest will be keeping track of the team.
Yeah. Well, I know on a purist thing, it doesn't necessarily prove who's got the best classification or the toughest wrestlers. But again, the media's got to have something to plug into.
Sure. No, it's good. You're right. It's good promotion. You and I know that it's maybe not an accurate assessment of who's. If you've got, for example, 10 out of the 14 weights, you have a 4A kid in the featured match, or the
center man.
Yeah, then it's going to be maybe tougher for the 4A classification to win it, even though the 4A may be the best because they've got 10 guys in that featured match or that middle mat. So
yeah, some fans got especially educated fans got to realize that. But again, I like the team aspect of it. I like the individual matchups. I like the feature matches that we're doing, and it's changed. The format's changed, but I think we changed with the times, and I think even though we have more matches and wrestlers, and that bothered a lot of people for a while, I think the event is very fast paced. I don't think the spotlight's been taken away from anybody because there's 3 matches instead of 1. I just think it's way more entertaining to the casual fan. Let's face it, like in the old days when it was just 1, 2A, and 3A versus the 4 and 5A, maybe the match was a dud. That happens. Even in championship matches in the best tournaments sometimes suck for lack of a term. And so now you got 2 other matches you could watch, and some of those ones on the side, they're great matches. They're
we're going to toot our own horn maybe here a little bit, but one of the things that Jeff and I tried to do last year, and I did get some good feedback, was try to announce what's going on all 3 mats and try to call your attention to maybe some moments that were taking place on mat number 3. If you were watching 2 or 1, you may want to turn your attention to what's going on over there because there's some good, exciting action. So,
yeah, I said it's a cool event. January 3rd, right?
Yep, January 3rd.
And then we'll have the junior high matches probably start about what, 5:30, 6 o'clock?
I think it's 5 o'clock, 5:30.
Okay.
Something there.
We'll probably have 10 or so matches there. Yeah. You thought about expanding that, or there's 10 about where you're at?
Yeah, obviously that's always in discussion. We'll discuss that as we get our committee formed, but as of right now, we'll stick with 10.
And I know we're kind of, we got to probably close up for the night, but have you had pretty good feedback about the junior high matches? They're not stealing the thunder, or they?
No, I think the junior high matches are great. I mean, it's promoting those kids. It's getting those kids on the big stage. I love it personally. Sometimes I get more excited for the junior high matches than the high school, but that's because I'm a little bit more involved in the youth. But no negative feedback really on the junior high matches.
Well, I think it's really cool to see kind of how the events evolved. It's
right.
Evolved, and it's changed with the times. And again, a lot of people were scared about the changes, but I think they've worked out wonderfully.
Yep.
I think the committee's open to maybe tweaking it down the road. That's what we need to do.
Of course.
Cool. So, hey, guys, hey, great show tonight. Appreciate you joining us. Again, I got to get a shout out to high school wrestling, highschoolwrestlingmatches.com, Kurt Clapier's webpage. He's got the daily dose. He's got some really neat things on that webpage for coaches. And I guess this whole podcast idea is kind of his, so you got to give him some props.
Absolutely.
And Jeff Cole, doing great things for wrestling, youth on through high school, even in the college, their contributions are large. So I appreciate you joining us tonight. And next week, what are we going to be doing, Jeff?
Sounds like we're going to have Jaron Jensen and Wyatt Coling on next week. Jaron Jensen's at Wyoming right now. Wyatt Coling's at Missouri. And they will be our guest next week, it looks like.
Yeah, so UVU is a great program, but some of our wrestlers go outside of Utah. That's cool too. I'd love to see that. So get a little bit of perspective of the Wyoming program and the Missouri program and things like that. So that'll be a great show next week. So join us for that, and we'll be signing off. Thanks again, Cole. Thanks again, Jeff.
Yep. Thanks.